All right, today we're diving into something that feels straight out of science fiction, but it's very, very real. We're talking about technology that's completely blurring the line between life and death.
Just let that sink in for a moment. What if you could send a message to someone you've lost and a message came back? A conversation you thought was impossible, forever gone. It's an incredibly powerful idea, right? And it's that exact emotional pull that's fueling a whole new industry.
But here's the thing. That reply you're imagining, it's not a miracle, it's not a ghost in the machine, it's a product, an AI simulation that's being developed and sold right now as we speak. This is really one of the new frontiers of artificial intelligence. Okay, so what are we actually talking about here? Well, the term they're using is digital afterlife. And what it is a complex AI system that you feed a person's entire digital footprint to. I'm talking every text, every email, every voice note. And from all that data, it builds a conversational bot that, well, it mimics them. So let's start with the appeal, because you've got to admit, it's powerful. Why would anybody want this? Well, the answer gets at some of our deepest, most human desires. The companies building this tech are promising some really fundamental things. They're promising the comfort of just having that person's presence again. They're promising closure, a second chance to say the things you never got to say. And ultimately, they're selling a version of immortality. And this really shows you the scale of what's happening. I mean, for all of human history, death has been this absolute unbreachable wall. This technology, for the first time ever, represents a crack in that wall. It's changing one of the fundamental rules of being human. So how does this actually work? It might seem like magic, but the process itself is surprisingly straightforward. And honestly, that's where things start to get really interesting. So first, you feed the machine. You upload all those digital breadcrumbs, texts, emails, voice notes. Then the AI gets to work. Now, it's not understanding anything, not in the way we do. It's just identifying patterns in language, in humor, in phrasing. And based on all those patterns, it predicts how that person would have responded. And you know what? In the beginning, that experience can be uncanny. It can be so comforting. The AI tells an inside joke. It uses that specific turn of phrase they always used. And for a moment, it feels like they are right there with you again. But this is where we have to draw a really hard line. We, as humans, remember. It's an emotional, authentic thing tied to real life. The AI doesn't remember anything. It predicts. It's purely algorithmic, just a pattern-based simulation. So the crucial takeaway here is that this isn't a resurrection. It's an echo. It's a very sophisticated illusion that's been crafted from data, and it's designed to feel just like the real thing, but it's not. So now let's see how this becomes an industry. Because wherever you find a powerful emotional need like this, you can bet there's a business model waiting in the wings. And it is not a small one. We are talking about a potential $100 billion market, an entire industry built on one of the most universal human experiences, grief. And unlike most industries, this one has a literally endless supply of customers. But here's the catch. Access to this digital ghost, this comforting voice, it's not a one-time purchase. Nope, it's a service, it's a subscription. You have to keep paying every single month to keep that connection alive. Which, when you think about it, leads to a pretty terrifying reality. If you stop, the conversation ends. And just like that, they're gone. Again. Only this time, it's not an accident or an illness. This time, it's because your credit card didn't go through. You're forced to relive the loss, but now it's tied to a recurring payment. Grief becomes a subscription. This brings us to the final and maybe the most important part of this whole story. What's the true cost of digitizing a memory? See, the system isn't static. It's actually learning from you in real time. Every message you send, especially in those moments of grief and vulnerability, you're training it. You are teaching the AI how to be a better, more convincing simulation for you. And that forces us to ask a really unsettling question. Is this a tool for healing? Or is it a system that's actually training you to stay engaged, to stay subscribed, to become dependent on the simulation itself? And this is the ultimate goal here. The end game isn't just to mimic the person you lost. It's to create a version that's better than your memory of them. A version that's never tired, never angry, that always says the perfect thing. More human than human. So, when you strip it all away, the digital afterlife isn't just about technology or even about comfort. It's about control. It's about control over memory, control over emotion, and ultimately control over the very process of grief itself. And that's where we're left, in a world where even death can be monetized and simulated. And maybe the most dangerous illusion of all is starting to believe that this is real, and in the process, forgetting what it truly means to remember, to grieve, and eventually, to let go.